Welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your gaming goodness every Saturday at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. My name is Dylan Blight. Joining me on the couch today, Ashley Hobley.
Excited to be here during Standard Time.
Standard Time continues for... It's very short, isn't it? It's
It is. It's not an even split.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Standard Time should be longer.
Considering it's got the word standard.
Because it's the standard. It doesn't make sense if the standard time is less than the unstandard time.
I like the amount of couch time we've spent now making jokes about fucking
time zones,
savings and time zones, and
yeah, this is one of these in jokes that is probably not good for us.
It's not even an in joke. It's just we have a major problem with it because we try and organize recording times across different time zones for 9 out of 12 months a year. And it's like, I fucking hate this. And then when it's normal, it's like, everything's fine now. And then when it switches over, it's this whole like, all right, it's like a month of getting used to it again. Of like, okay, you said 7:30, so that's my 6:30, right? No, it's your 7:30. No, I meant 7:30. No, I adjusted it to mean your 7:30. Okay, so it's my 7:30. Is your 8:30? Yes.
Is that in scheduling stuff? It's like, oh no, like scheduling posts and release dates for stuff.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't have to put it forward an hour because this other things is set to stupid time. Yeah, it's all good.
Publishes at 6 a.m. So you have to set it to publish at 5 a.m.
Yeah. Now I can just set it at 6 a.m. It's great.
Yeah, living a life
like this show.
Yeah. All right, today on the show, we're going to be discussing Xbox finally revealing the old digital Xbox One, Game Informer Australia shutting down, Katana ZERO, Cuphead on the Switch, and also what the hell's up with Xbox now that Sony has made the first move, basically announcing the PS5. But first, I want to quickly go over some good news that's coming to us later in the year. Witcher 3 release date. Witcher 3. I say Witcher 3 because whenever we talk about The Witcher, it always has 3 at the end, you know? Like nearly 9 times out of 10, if you say The Witcher, you're basically talking about The Witcher 3, I feel. So it's like The Witcher 3 has now become the word to me, but it's not. It's The Witcher.
Not for much longer.
This comes from AusGamers.com. With the streaming giant announcing that the first season of its adaptation of The Witcher is set to go live in the fourth quarter, which is sometime between October and November. The series stars Superman actor Henry Cavill as the white-haired monster hunter Geralt of Rivia, and is also based on the same books that CD Projekt Blue Red Dawn drew its inspiration from when creating the game. The first season will feature 8 episodes, with filming taking place in Hungary. The confirmation came via a recent earnings report call when Netflix CCO Ted Sarandos was asked about future content on the platform, and he was basically like, yeah, there's a big fucking thing coming up, and it's called The Witcher. Are you... honestly, I did not think it would come out this year. What do you think?
I mean, it's not surprising. I mean, they do get some of this stuff that has a pretty quick turnaround. I was expecting it probably not till next year. When did
Early
we get
next
that,
year, I thought.
Yeah, when did we get that screen test? I believe it was
like late last year.
The terrible screen test that was not received very well.
No, it didn't seem that long ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it seems like it was going to be a bit further away, but obviously they've shot what they're going to shoot, and have they even started production? They must have.
They've been shooting it. They've been shooting it in secret and stuff. Yeah, in Hungary.
I guess the special effects, not very big.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's like this isn't a 23 episode CW show where they can have finalized 10 of the episodes and start airing it while they're still editing and these sorts of things in the background, or even potentially still filming some of the freaking episodes. This is an 8 episode, high budget fantasy drama that's going to have a lot of special effects, a lot of post-production, and Netflix will basically, I feel like, especially with the Lord of the Rings series coming up, want to be of high caliber and high quality, so then they can kind of have this series come out ahead of Lord of the Rings and be a fantasy giant that lovers of the books plus lovers of the video games can of course love, but then also just your general Netflix audience who flicks through can see it, click onto it, and love it before Amazon gets time to drop the Lord of the Rings series. So I'm surprised it can turn around that fast considering how much just post-production I think it's going to have in it. And involved in it. And yeah, as I was just saying, it was like late last year. I swear it was like just after PAX or something around that time when they dropped that. That was a screen test. It's like that means I don't know. Seems fast. I really wasn't expecting this year, but now that I know that's coming this year, excited. Witcher TV series this year. Yes, I'm excited. There were some more pictures of the week too. I don't know if you saw them of Henry Cavill.
He's got scars on his abs.
He does. He's got scars on his abs. That's the.
No.
He does. Yeah. Did you think those pictures looked better or same old?
Yeah, he looks fine. I mean, I'll wait for judgment until we see the trailer.
Fair enough. Well, that's the other thing that's kind of exciting. You know, if they reckon this is coming later in the year, okay. When's that trailer? The trailer within the next like 3 to 4 months?
Maybe
3 months, maybe. That's exciting. That's exciting. A lot of cool video game. I know this is based on a book, obviously, but we kind of claim it as a video game thing. And I don't believe it would have turned into a Netflix series without the popularity of the video game. So we can kind of claim this one, I feel.
As much as the author would like to believe otherwise, the video games kind of put
the video game
on the international map.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the books were really popular in its home country. Okay, but no one outside of there heard of until the video games. I'm very, very sorry. So yeah, it's like there's a lot of cool things happening video game live action this year. It's quite exciting, I feel. All right, let's get into some big reveals. I don't know.
Reveals.
Bit of a puddle and a splash, I think, really. But Xbox has finally announced the old digital edition of the Xbox One that we was talking about a lot when it was rumored. The story comes from Press Start. It says, after months and months of speculation, Microsoft has revealed the Xbox One S old digital edition. And I'd like to straight away point out that I remember when people thought this might end up being the name of this console, someone on Reddit or somewhere where I was reading it pointed out that if this was the name of the console, the acronym suddenly becomes the Xbox One SAD. And they're like, that's no way that they're actually going to name it the old digital edition because they don't want to. They're like, no. They won't have that because then the acronym's called the SAD. Guess what? Xbox ain't too. It's the Xbox
no one's going to call it
SAD.
the Xbox One S All Digital Edition. It's just going to be the Xbox One S.
What'd you Xbox One S SAD? Anyway,
or
the article continued.
It should be SAID.
SAID, okay. Yeah, well, I guess, yeah. But sad. It's sad. It's officially sad. The console looks shockingly familiar to the Xbox One S. It does, really. The picture, I have an Xbox One S, the white thing sitting behind me while recording. It looks exactly the fucking same. It says, but there's no disc drive. Aside from that, it seems to be fairly similar. Whilst we don't have a release date in Australia, the Xbox One S Old Digital Edition, sad, comes out on May 7th in the US of A's. Microsoft aren't giving a local price yet, but it's going to be priced at $250 USD in America. It'll also come bundled with Forza Horizon 3, not 4, Sea of Thieves, and Minecraft. And then Press Start points out that with the Xbox One S being readily available for around 200 Australian dollars here, it's going to be interesting to see how it is indeed priced in Australia upon release. Now that things been dropped, Dash, what do you think?
It's fine. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to get it. If you haven't already, if you have a choice between an Xbox with a disc drive and one without a disc drive, why would you get the one without the disc drive at this point in time? And it doesn't seem like there's too much of a price difference. I think I've heard places like a $50 price difference.
50 USD difference.
But then,
we don't know what the Australian price difference will be, but yeah, you can guesstimate from that.
So I'd imagine the only people who would really want to get this are people who are only getting it Xbox for Game Pass.
The Game Pass machine.
The Game Pass machine. Then, yeah, you just download your games over 24 weeks and then you eventually play them. And then, that's how you use your Xbox. Just sort of using on Game Pass, getting those great exclusives that come out once a blue moon on the Xbox.
I'll say my thoughts that it's officially here. Firstly, I think the biggest problem with it I have is the price. I think they've kind of shot themselves in the foot with a cool idea by the price. It should have been a lot cheaper, and then I feel like it could have a market. Saying that though, I believe it has a market in the United States and possibly other places. I do not think it has a market in Australia because obviously internet issues, blah, 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 blah. It's not even so much that. It's more like I originally got my Xbox as a 4K player. And I know that's a thing. It's like a lot of people will just buy an Xbox One S because it is one of the cheaper 4K players that you can buy. That your Sony or Samsung 4K players are like $500. It's several $100 cheaper fucking 4K thing. So to take the disc drive out, I'm like, I don't really know what the audience is for this in Australia without the disc drive, and then also with people being so scared of our internet speeds and those sorts of things around here. And given it's not a streaming machine, so you can take a week to download what you need to, I guess. And they've got an app now. You hook up to it, get it downloaded while you're on your drive home, and your Game Pass games on the go. You can do all these sorts of things.
It's possible,
but anything is possible. But yeah, as a machine, I think it is something that can fit into the marketplace, and I do feel like it'll have an audience in America.
Yeah.
Because, like, as you're saying, Game Pass machine, it's kind of what it is. They're just like, hey, you buy this, you get your Game Pass subscription, and we'll talk about something to do with their subscription in just a moment, but you hook that up. That's it. That's all you need to do. You just buy a subscription, you buy the console. But then, again, they've kind of fucked themselves hard with the marketing and the price, because it should have been a lot cheaper. Like $100 cheaper, right? And then, or maybe if it's $50 cheaper, and you include a 6 month at least or something like that Game Pass subscription in the box, like to try and push it as the Game Pass box. But you're not really pushing the consumer to treat it as a Game Pass box when you're just like, hey, here's 3 games. It's bundled. I mean,
like they secretly don't want you to do that because they want you to keep buying all the games at full price at retail through their digital store. That's what they really want you to do.
But then
because Game Pass is not going to last forever.
They say those stats that people with Game Pass, for some reason, end up buying a lot of the games they really love. Like,
it's clearly by accident.
I don't know. The stats.
There's somewhere in the menu of the Game Pass thing that's got like a button where you can accidentally click it and you buy the game. Just accidentally gets charged you credit card.
These people with Connect hooked up, and then anytime they say, I love this game, Connect is just treated to take that as, purchase game. Yes, that's what I heard.
Yeah, Cortana just goes, game purchased.
Game purchased. Download. I don't know when the price of this will come out. The press email I got popping into our box just said, when we have it, we'll let you know. And I was like, all right.
Maybe they're going to see how well it goes.
I was just like, I guess, but a bit weird. The other Xbox news was they have finally, this was another thing that was rumored for ages, so just a big old confirmation week. It was inside Xbox as well, their direct thing, whatever you want to call it. These things all came from. But Microsoft has announced that Xbox Game Pass Ultimate will be a combination of Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Live into one shiny package, and it'll cost you $14.99 USD. It doesn't have a Australian price yet either, but I'm down for this one. This is a good idea. This is one I can most likely get behind. I currently don't have Game Pass, right? I've activated my subscription to play something, and then I've done the whole, like, treat it like a Stan, Netflix, Amazon, whatever, just any other subscription service. You
can
turn
a smart consumer.
Yeah, you just turn it off when you need to and turn it back on when you need to, sort of thing. But once the Australian pricing's up, I'll do the maths, and if it falls into like a nice, it's only like $20 more, something that's only, I can't really think of like a full price cap on my head. It's just one of those things that you look at the price and you'll know, you just know, your brain tells you if that's a good price or not. But if I can look at it and go, all right, so my Xbox Gold subscription a year costs me, I don't know how much it is, $60, $70 or something like that, whatever it is, close to PlayStation Plus, I assume. I don't even know. Just take my money, Xbox. But whatever that is, and if it's like $100 a year, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll just combine them, because then you can start theorizing like, well, if throughout the next year I was going to if I was to turn Xbox Game Pass on for like 3 months, which is likely, then I've made my money back. You know, you can start adding up the pluses and negatives. But yeah, I like this thing. This is good, because it is weird to have, I feel, too many separate subscriptions on your platform, especially to the average consumer who may open up their Xbox and go, what is Xbox Gold? What is Xbox Game Pass? Which ones do I need to play Fortnite with my friends? Which ones give me games a month? Oh, they both give me games, but which one do I, it's just a lot easier if it can be like, here's one, does them all. Yeah. What do you think? Smart or?
Yeah, I'm surprised it's taken this long for them to do it. Incentivize the people to do it. Because it just seems like they're getting 2 bites of the cherry. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It just makes things easier for everybody. And you've got more of a chance of people using one of the services that they were paying the other service for, So people, yeah. So you got more chance of getting people to pay for both than just one. If you offer both.
Well, you'll sucker me in very easily, I feel, as long as it's not too much more expensive, and there'll be a heap of people like me. So
yeah.
Because, and it's hard not to, if it's not that much more expensive in Australia, it is hard not to go, Game Pass, they're always adding games. They're really building that to be such a massive platform, and it's only going to continue throughout the next year as they continue to grow Game Pass and head into whatever the next Xbox Gold. So it's hard to not kind of want to have that platform in the background at sometimes, because like I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be like, oh, these games are added to Game Pass. I'll be like, I never played that, but I wouldn't mind like fucking around inside it for like an hour just to see what it was like, kind of thing, because it's just there. I have, if you've got Game Pass, you just have access. You can just fucking download it, go for gold, do what you need to do. So it's a cool service, cool incentive to combine them all. I like it. In some sadder Australian news, Game Informer Australia is shutting down. Was announced this just a day or so ago as of recording. I think it was yesterday, right? Thursday.
Feels like it.
All right, yeah. So I'll jump into the story from Kotaku in just a sec. But I'll say, have you ever read the Australian magazine? And if you did, when was the last time you picked up or read it? Or why don't you read it?
Probably. It's been a while. Like it might have been just like a free thing given. It was probably the last time I picked it up. Just purely because it's so much easier just to read everything online.
I feel like that's a thing that most people can understand too.
Yeah.
To a degree. I when it launched, I was fucking pumped, because I remember back in the day I was like reading about more so listening to, because I'd listen to like IGN GameScoop or something, and they'd be talking about something that was in that month's Game Informer, or how this month's Game Informer revealed this game and they had a cool cover and a feature story and all these sorts of things. We didn't have access to it here. You could probably import the magazine somehow, but I never went too far to look into that, because I'm like, that's a waste of money. When they announced it was coming here and was going to have our own Australian one, I was like, fuck yeah, that's exciting. And I was collecting every single issue up for the first couple of years until it got to a stage where I had just too many magazines. And when I had to move house, like a year and a half ago, whatever it was, 2 years ago, I guess, when I moved house, I was like, I cannot be bothered kind of packing these all up, and I'm like, I'm not gonna have the space for them. They're just a bunch of magazines. Are they worth keeping? And it was one of those things. I really enjoyed collecting them though, because I had them like in a nice magazine binder type thing.
Yep.
And I had them on a shelf, and when they was lined up all next to each other, just looking at the numbers run across, is like issue 1 through to whatever. They looked really sexy next to one another as well.
Yeah, well, they're collector's items now, so good work.
Well, they're in the bin somewhere, so. Yeah, I fucked up there, but what can you do? Now. Yeah, well, I fucked up there for sure. and I agree with you. Like, for the most part, reading online is the way to go about it. But that's how I still consume my daily news, right? Most mornings I wake up, I start reading a bunch of news through different RSS subscriptions, stuff I've got set up for my news sites, so I can keep up to date with what's going on. But Game Informer, it wasn't for the reviews. It was more so for the opinion piece article stuff that was the best content you'll get in it, and especially the pieces that covered Australian-centric developers, events, things that were going on like that. Like, that wasn't popping up anywhere else. So that's what that magazine was doing always quite well from day one. So I was disappointed quite a bit when it was announced, but all right, I'll just jump into the article a bit here so people can understand if they don't know. Alex Walker, Kotaku, writes, Game Informer's Australian magazine is shutting down after its owner, EB Games, opted to close production. It's understood that the American version of Game Informer will be sold in Australian EB stores, with production of the local magazine closing down as part of budget cuts. The cuts are being made by EB Games and not by EB Games' parent company GameStop, which posted the largest loss in their financial history earlier this month. Game Informer Australia published 113 issues since its inaugural edition in late 2009, with Chris Steed as its launch editor. The magazine sold through EB's network of stores throughout Australia. The magazine was also critically successful for the last few years consecutively, with its current editor David Milner winning Best Gaming Journalist, Best Columnist, and highly recommended gongs for Best Gaming coverage at the local IT Journalism Awards. David put up a lengthy post on his Facebook, which he then screenshotted and shared to Twitter, which is how I saw the announcement. I'm sure that's how 99%, a lot of people found out probably through Kotaku articles and stuff, but that's how a lot of people saw it at first, I assume. But his thing, to quickly, I don't really want to read it all because it's quite a long thing, but to get what he says to do with its closure, it says, David wrote, "Today's my last day as editor of Game for Australia. This was not my decision. The owner of the magazine, EB Games, is making cuts because global parent company GameStop recently failed to find a buyer after months on the market. Their share price suffered. This is a result. For the record, Game Informer Australia still sold well. Readership was up 19% over the last year. Recent ad sales, however, did not really reflect this. The American version of the magazine will be sold here, blah, blah, blah. It's a great magazine filled with great people, blah, 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 blah. Again, amongst all the fun stuff, I'm proud of the long form journalism and the tough issues we covered. Exploit. Oh my God, I can't say that word. Exploitive. Thank you. I had to slow it down. Ash. You really got to pronounce the letters and numbers in the upper cases and the lower cases.
Yep.
Labor practices, the push for unionization, the classification reform, our mismanaged NBN, for-profit game schools selling an unrealistic dream, etc. And yes, proud of the journalism awards I won, blah, 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 blah. He continued, a lot of people... I say bladder. It's a bit mean in the context, but
it is.
What I mean. It is. I just realized as I was saying it. He continued to say stuff. It was sad because he's losing his job and people are losing jobs. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, I'm quite disappointed. And what was even more angering, I found, was people's response in the comments a lot, because a lot of people were like, "Who cares? No one reads that shit anyway," or like all this sort of stuff. Where I'm like. And you can apply this to a lot of things, I guess, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, if you don't have anything nice to say, this is really not the time to fucking voice your shitty opinion. It's just such a, who cares? No one reads it anyway. It's like, do you understand that, like a lot of people, these people always answer with, "Oh, they'll find jobs fast enough." But it is that thing. It's like, if a bunch of people just announce they lost their jobs, why are we saying who cares? Because you hate the magazine for some reason. From what I could gather, a lot of people didn't like the magazine because of the EB Games connection. That was like their big connotation. Because I saw a lot of comments of people being like, "Oh, you mean the EB Games ad magazine?" I'm like, "What?
No,
you understand
that's a catalog. You're reading the wrong thing."
Yeah, I was like, is that what you got? You like flick through a Game Informer once and you saw a big ad for an EB Games thing, and it was like, they've sold out. They fucking own that. they own the distribution. That's why it's in the stores, and that's why their fucking ads are in the thing. It's like that's how they funded the fucking magazine for EB Games. That's why they had their ads in there, because EB Games and GameStop funded the fucking thing. Do you understand how? Anyway, that's a whole thing. And overall, they're really. I say this with like an asterisk, I suppose, somewhat. There isn't that much Australian games writing mainstream is the asterisk I'll put on the end, right? So it's sad to see Game Informer Australia shut down. Now, as much as I think that statement is 100% true, there isn't a lot of like mainstream Australian games writing. There is a lot of independent games writing, and I suppose my thing for this is like it's just I suppose it's just one of the signs of the way that the industry, the world's going somewhat. Yeah. You know, we kind of know that, as sad as it is, and I don't like it, I will still say that like we kind of know magazines are going the wayside, newspapers are going the wayside. You fucking sell them. Come on, back it up. They're going the wayside. Only old people buy them.
Yep.
So it's like, where's the future of Australian games writing? It's like, well, it's on fucking websites on the internet and whatever else, and that's kind of the way it's going to go. And that's
a lot of it's buried because nobody sees it, and it's kind of depressing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like how do you seek the positive in this is to, I suppose, find and support your independent Australian writers, or even your not independent ones. Like, for instance, Alex Walker, who wrote this from Kotaku. You know, that's someone a name that should stand out to a lot of people as a prominent person who covers games in Australia, Alex Walker from Kotaku. And there's a couple other names, of course, that spring to mind. It's like, and then, but also David Milner was a very prominent name in the
pretty big.
So there's a few, but then there's also a lot of your smaller indie independent writers and stuff like that. So like everyone over at Player 2, of course, and friends of the show and stuff. Dash is writing again, so there's a writer. You guess you can count him these days.
I mean, how many articles has he written though? So
all right, you got to write at least 50.
Is there a threshold?
I don't know. We'll have to find out what the threshold is, but it's like just find the people you like and kind of support them, and because I don't want actual. Because I'm trying to do more of it this year, you know, like not hardcore hitting like journalism stuff, but like even my security.
Not Jason Schreier level.
No, Josh is Schreier shit, but I'm just trying to put together more opinion type piece stuff that's actually put together somewhat because I enjoy reading it and whatever else. So it's like, just do what you need to. And I don't want it to fucking die out, because Lord help us if the only games fucking coverage we have in the future is a bunch of YouTube fuckboys just yelling and screaming about video games and SJWs and they ruin games. And Lord help us if all that we have left in the future is YouTube. We're fucking on YouTube, by the way, youtube.com/Explosion Network.
Yeah.
But Lord help us if all we have left
if it's just the people on YouTube and people on podcasts talking about video games, that would be the worst.
It actually probably would.
Yeah.
It actually probably fucking would. I can't. You're making me sad. All right, let's move on before I get too sad. Gamescom is a thing that happens, of course. The European German event. It's a thing that happens every year. PlayStation's usually there because it's a European focused event, and that's where their heavier market is, more so than America. Fucking Xbox stays about 10 million miles away from it because they know their fucking place. I feel like
they've been to Gamescom a lot the last few years.
They're trying to step their game up. They're trying to break into the market space, but come on, Xbox. Yeah. No one said you're
they've got to do something, so
that's true. This year Gamescom is getting a live event though with Geoff Keighley going to be putting it together.
That guy sounds familiar.
That guy from hosting the Game Awards and other things that you may know of. Believe it or not, this story comes from Alex Walker over at Kotaku.
Whoa.
There you go. There's that guy again. It says Gamescom is the biggest gaming trade show in Europe, but major publishers don't give conferences and announcements out there the same way they do at E3. That is true. However, usually stuff gets announced at Gamescom and then we talk about it on the podcast. Lord help us if that's all we get to do in the future, talk about it. This year, that might be starting to change. The official Gamescom account announced that this year's event would feature, quote, a new live event and stream produced by Game Awards producer Geoff Keighley, who called it's going to be called Opening Night Live, which I think is a shitty name for an event, but that's fine. It then continued to say, this brand new program will feature announcements from major game publishers and independent developers, world premieres of new game footage, and special guest appearances from the stars of the gaming industry, is what the press release said. So it's going to be airing 4 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on the Tuesday, August 20th. So mark that one in your calendars, everyone. But what do you think, Ash? A live event with Geoff Keighley in front of it for Gamescom? Does that tingle the excitement bones? Or
yeah, I mean, it's a cool event, something a bit different. Obviously, get people a bit more interested who aren't in Europe to get interested in Gamescom, I guess. But yeah, it's really nice of them to put a date down for when the next Death Stranding trailer is going to be coming out.
Is that what? Oh, well, no. Hold on. Let's say you did reckon. Didn't you not say that there was going to be one at Game Awards? Didn't you? Was that not one of your things?
No, I'm pretty sure Kieran was the one who was always talking about Death Stranding being at Game Awards.
I was about to say, because there wasn't one there. He didn't even show up.
Yeah.
There was nothing there, so... Just to clarify.
Geoff was on the phone, man, I've got this new opening night thing coming out next year. Hold off for the Game Awards, that's kind of set. I don't need extra buzz for that. This opening night thing, I need that I need that Kojima rub.
Hideo was like, opening night of what? And then Geoff is like, no, opening night. Opening night of what?
Opening night live.
Opening. See my running joke here. It's like, who's on first? You know that joke? You know that classic joke? Have you heard that joke?
What joke?
I can't remember. It's from Major Baseball or something like that. The thing, you know.
Whose joke?
It's like it's the two guys commentating. Yeah, that one. Whose joke?
Yeah, why joke?
Yeah, you heard that? Have you heard it?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone's heard it, right? It's classic. If you haven't heard the baseball, I don't know what the name of it is, or else I'd be like, hey, if you haven't heard it,
I think it's just who's on first.
Who's on first? Look up who's on first if you haven't heard it. It's classic comedy. Classic comedy. But yeah, this sounds cool. I'll put it down in the old calendar. 4 a.m. is
it's reasonable. It's doable.
It's like it's not 3, right? Because I feel like here's where it pushes it. You can push me to 2 o'clock, which is when the Star Wars things were happening last week, right? I can stay up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can stay up till 2, and that's fine. Right. Now, if I have to wake up early, I much prefer 5 as the early wake up call, because that's kind of like my preferred there. 4 o'clock is wake up early time. I'm not staying up till 4. 4 is definitely wake up early time, but still, like, I'd prefer 5. The worst time, without any doubt, is 3 o'clock though, because
Square Enix.
Yeah, it's fucking Square Enix, because it is. You can't stay up till 3. You can, but you don't want to stay up till fucking 3. And you don't want to wake up at 3. You know, it's just square in the center. It fucking sucks. But yeah, 4 a.m. I'm excited. I presume I'll be watching it no matter what. So, of course, we'll be talking about whatever happens there. But I mean, if they got Geoff Keighley involved and they're teasing out announcements and events and doing some sort of live show, I don't want to chuck out some big rumor mill thing, but I'm like, Is Gamescom looking at E3 and they're like, oh, E3 is kind of just becoming a show, like it's less the E3 conference shock factor. Are they over there like, maybe we'll fucking put together some
PlayStation wants to come see us, so why not?
You know,
have it like a fun event. Yeah, I'm just excited to see Cory Barlog accept another award at the whatever opening night live awards ceremony Geoff Keighley's putting together.
We'll see. Fucking can't wait till August where we're still talking about God of War winning awards on Platinum Explosion. That's going to be exciting.
Yep.
All right, Ash, I want to tell you about a game called Katana Zero and how it was banned in Australia.
Oh, that game that none of us can play on the Switch?
Yeah.
But is available on the Steam store. So
yeah, That's it's
Nowhere else, because exclusivity. Nobody's complaining about that.
no. Well, fucking imagine that. Imagine fucking the day.
Where are the Epic fanboys?
Yeah, they
Come
need
on.
to start crying about everything being Steam exclusive. Actually, that's quite funny. So Katana Zero, in case you didn't know, quickly, was banned or refused classification is the proper term, I suppose. This past week in Australia, this is probably the only time it'll happen because not that many games get refused classification in Australia. So this is like the only time I got given a review code, and then like 5 days later, the game got refused classification in Australia, and I'm like, am I holding a golden ticket? Like, are we still allowed to review the game even though it's refused classification?
I mean, in hindsight, maybe it wasn't too surprising because I don't know if we want to go too inside baseball, but we asked for a Switch code. We got sent a PC code because the Switch codes were being delayed. And now we know why.
Delayed as in the game hadn't even been certified yet, and that's why they weren't even on the store yet.
I wonder why they left it so late, but yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was taking that long to get through the system because they were trying to work out, and then they were like, "No, it's refused." I don't know. Weird, quite weird.
It's crazy.
That's why that all comes together. But if you do find a way to play it on your Switch, because there are ways, but or PC, of course, it is a really good game. So I gave it a 8 out of 10. The review went up. It's really hard not to compare it to Hotline Miami. And as much as like I felt bad about doing it, but then at the same time, like it's impossible not to compare this game to Hotline Miami just because of the way it plays. It's nothing to do with its art
this is a
design
side-scrolling platformer. Hotline Miami's a top-down shooter.
Hotline Miami's a, what do you call it? Isometric
top-down
melee
twin
combat,
stick shooter.
Twin stick shooter type thing. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's the combat flow that is exactly the same as Hotline Miami. So did you play Hotline Miami?
Yeah,
or?
I've played Hotline Miami.
Okay. So for those that don't know, Hotline Miami is basically I refer to it as like a combat puzzler, because really what it's about is you got to learn where all the enemies are, and then you basically die several times over, and then eventually you just get into the rhythm because you know what you got to do. So it's like, open the door, kill this enemy, go over there, grab that thing, quickly throw it straight ahead because that's going to kill someone. Go left. You just work out this whole pattern of how to quickly take out a room. And that's exactly what Katana Zero is, down to the pact where you can even kill people opening doors. So you'll often just be standing in front of a door. It's like, okay, wait for the enemy to get in front of the door. Open door. Dodge roll straight ahead, slash that person, jump to the floor above, kill that person. You can even pick up random objects like bottles, knives, and these sorts of things. So it's like, then run ahead, quickly pick up a bottle, chuck that up in the air, that'll kill that person, jump back down here, pick up this thing, kill that person. And much like Hotline Miami, you will die a lot as you're kind of learning the process of how to clear a room full of enemies. But then once you know what you're doing, you just do it very fast, very quickly. It's just like suddenly you've cleared it, even though you just spent 10-15 minutes dying a lot, and all of a sudden you've just cleared all these enemies in one clean sweep. And it's got that same Hotline Miami feel in that front. Everything else about the game is nothing like Hotline Miami. It's a lot more story based than Hotline Miami, and it also has a lot of other things in it other than just combat. So each chapter has basically 3 phases. The first phase is you go to your psychiatrist and you talk to them, and they're like, hey, what's up? You're like, let me tell you about these fucked up dreams I've been having. They're like, oh, that's cool. And while this is all happening, you're quickly introduced to conversation choices that you have in the game. So at times you'll be given like 3 or 4 different options of how you want to talk to people. You can be really aggressive, nice, kind of deny the fact you're even having nightmares or these types of things. And you are having nightmares, though. You get to see that play out very quickly. What exactly they mean, of course, is revealed later in the game. But then you'll talk to that person. They'll then drug you up with a drug that becomes quite important for the story later on as well. But you're told it's because it's to help you with your stress, anxiety, or whatever you want to put it. And then as you walk out the door, there you're handed a little folder, and it's got your target in it, your assassination target, basically. So your psychiatrist is not only your psychiatrist, but also your drug dealer, and also your the person handing you your missions as a samurai wannabe or whatever you are, katana wielding samurai, I guess. And then you wander out and you go do the mission. And then once after you do the mission, and in the mission you kill a whole heap of people and you chop them to pieces, and there's blood and guts, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that's why it got banned, all the blood and guts.
Well, I think it's the drugs.
Oh.
Yes. I don't think it's the blood and guts. I think it's the drugs, because the drug use in this game is quite heavy. And also there's a couple torture scenes that I feel like could play badly, because I know how Australia isn't the biggest fan of torture type stuff as well. So
are you inflicting the torture, or?
No.
Then that's less of a... If you have the torture done to you, then I don't think it's as bad as you actually doing the torture.
Well, then I'll put all my pennies on it being the drugs.
Probably.
100% all the drugs. Because...
seeing as that's what's been said as being the reason.
Did they?
I believe I read it somewhere. I can't remember where.
Okay. I was just theorizing, but because without going too heavy in spoilers, the drugs that you take basically give you your powers, which is one of the main gameplay mechanics, and then also one of the main story mechanics, which is that you have the ability to rewind time. So every time you die, it doesn't just load you back to the start of the room you're in. It'll rewind it like a VHS, like back. But it's not just a gameplay thing. It's also a story thing. So your characters, it pretty much plays out that you're getting precognition. Like you're kind of doing these things, and then you're getting all the information, and that's how you're able to clear these rooms. Because like when you die, your character will be like, no, not like that. And then rewind time. And it's like, try again, and then work it out. And this ability to rewind time, basically, while still being able to remember what you saw, becomes a big part of the story as well. So then it's like the drug that's kind of giving you these powers is then, of course, a major part of the game's plot and story and what's kind of all coming together. So yeah, I definitely feel like it's the drugs probably the thing that people are hating most in it. So yeah, first psychiatrist, kill a bunch of baddies, and then the third part of the game is at the end of every mission you head back to your own house or apartment, and there you interact with a little girl who's your neighbor a lot, and you talk to her, and you can kind of skip through all these conversations very fast because the game's conversation choice thing lets you at any point. There's a proper word for it they use. I can't remember. It's like a live conversation choice. So you can wait and listen to finish listening to the character talking, and it'll bring up your like 3 to 4 different choices for what you can reply to them with. Or you just have an option to like interrupt them and be like, shut the fuck up, and then just end the conversation basically at any point in time. So you can basically play this game like a mega asshole and just never want to talk to anyone and cut everyone off. Which was very helpful when I was doing my Let's Play, youtube.com/Explosion Network, because then I could just skip through all of the potentially spoilery conversation stuff and just cut people off. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But its story goes absolutely fucking batshit crazy about an hour in, I guess, or half an hour in. I don't really remember. It depends how fast you're playing it, I guess. But it starts out like, oh yeah, cool, like a bit of a sci-fi-ish mystery, neon noir type thing that we've got going on here, and then at a certain stage it just goes completely nuts. And it one of the game's downfalls is it's pretty much in the title. I don't really think this is a spoiler to say this, but the game is basically a prologue, and I think it's like in the title the whole time. Because now whenever I look back at the title, I'm like Katana ZERO. Okay, Katana Chapter 0, Katana the Prologue kind of thing. Because it just ends and it gives you a little bit of information at the end. And it more or less says, hey, there's more to come. There's more we've got to do. There's more things that need to happen. I'm like, okay, that's cool and all, but it's kind of, after you play it, it just feels like you're playing the setup and not really where the main story, I guess, is going to kick in, which is a little bit disappointing. But see what happens. But either way, it's a great game if you can get your hands on it. Of course. The other thing I played this week, or not too much of, but I did want to quickly mention, is Cuphead on the Switch. I did end up buying it because I couldn't help myself. I'm like, I want to know if this run. I was just like, does this run well? Does it look good? Like, I just had too many questions and I didn't want to read. I just needed to be able to answer them myself. Will I break my Switch? Does my Switch survive? What's the...
Yeah, I was about to ask.
How's it all? How's it all together? It's... Switch is right here. It's perfectly fine.
You didn't really show it. I mean, you showed it at an angle where I couldn't see if it had a massive crack or was missing bits.
No, it's fine at the moment. But yeah, so I played. I've nearly finished the first world. There's 3 worlds, I think, or 3 maybe. I don't know. I never finished on Xbox anyway. But I've never finished the first world. It plays surprisingly well, and I don't know how else to describe the game. It literally looks as good as the Xbox One in handheld mode to me. Now, I haven't gone back to play the Xbox One on my big screen and be like, oh yeah, like this, the texture's a little bit better, these sorts of things. But from memory, and I think this has a lot to do with the art style, of course, because it kind of lends itself to just looking good across multiple devices and stuff. But I'm just like, it looks fucking great. I'm having no frame rate issues in your handheld mode at all. And you don't want frame rate issues in this game because you're jumping around, of course, and double jump dashing and whatever else. You got to dodge these bosses' abilities and so on and so forth. But I'm honestly surprised at how there was just no issues. I was expecting it to kind of somewhat struggle in handheld for whatever reason. I don't know why, but I was expecting the big magical Cuphead coming to Switch to end up being a Dark Tale, but it isn't. My tips, here's my couple tips for anyone that's picking up Cuphead on Switch and never played the Xbox One. These are known tips that everyone will basically tell you from Xbox days. Firstly, go into controller layout and change your fucking layout because Cuphead's default controls are utter trash. And for some reason, they still haven't fixed them. The Switch version still has crappy layout. So what you want to do is you want to change the button that makes you shoot to one of your triggers. And then you want to, then you also, if it's up to you, the first one's a necessary thing. This one's just helpful. Change your dash to the other trigger because then you can, because the default is like X to shoot, B to jump, A to special abilities. So then you've got this weird, like, really close 3 buttons there that you need to use quite a lot of. But then if you put your shooting button to the right trigger, you can literally just free up a lot of hand space and just hold down that trigger constantly. You can never just let go. You don't need to let go of it. You just hold it down. You can continuously shooting. It's a lot more comfortable. Go for gold. The other thing I'd suggest picking up is as soon as you get 3 coins in the game, which you get from talking to random characters or from the run and gun levels, which also I'm probably just going to skip because I was playing some today and I forgot. I fucking hate them. Run and gun levels are the worst part of this game. They're not fun. They're crap and they piss me off and I'd rather just do the boss fights. But once you get 3 coins, pick up the gas thing. It's called smoke grenade or smoke something or other. Lets you, when you dash, not take damage as you dash through enemies, which will basically change the way you play the game. Makes it a lot easier. I'm not saying it's the easy mode equivalent, but it's a thing. And also, if you are struggling with the game, there is an easy mode in it, kind of. There is a simpler difficulty for the bosses, but it's kind of like a practice mode. And if you're struggling, it is nice to use it because it lets you kind of test out some of what the boss is like, but you won't get the contract from beating the boss, which you kind of need, which you need to be able to progress the game forward. So, but it exists. It's nice there. I'll probably talk about it a little bit whenever the patch comes through for Xbox Live to come.
I was about to ask if that was a thing yet.
No, it's not. As of launch, I believe it's coming through whenever that DLC with Miss Mug Person or whatever the fuck
Chalice.
It's called. Chalice, thank you. Whenever that comes through, I think that's when that patch is coming through because that's when I'll be like, okay, because I haven't played Minecraft on my Switch or anything, so I'm intrigued. I'll download it. I'll be like, cool. I just want to pop an achievement on my Switch and feel like I'm living in the the new age, like just need to see it happen. So the PS5 was basically announced this past week, Ash. I don't know if you're aware or not. You may have seen a
I think it came up.
articles,
Yeah, a couple of
tweets,
podcasts, couple of things people talking about, a couple of tweets,
couple of things.
only a handful.
Now, I don't do we don't do too much cross pollination between our podcast or cross promotion, but I will say this straight up: definitely listen to Platinum Explosion this week, where we will be breaking it down in more detail and going over it. But what I want to basically discuss today is more so the implications of what it means for potentially Xbox going forward, and just kind of grabbing your first impressions, and if you think it's smart for Sony to kind of get the jump on Xbox somewhat with this news coming out. So just to cover it in case anyone doesn't know it, but I would presume anyone listening to this does fucking know, let's be honest. Randomly, start of the week, was it? I can't remember what day it was. It was like Monday, Tuesday-ish or something like that.
No, it was only like a couple of days. Oh, but after we recorded Plat, so
yeah, it was after
it was like Wednesday morning or something like that.
Okay. This article came out from Wired, where they were interviewing Mark Cerny, and Mark Cerny was telling them all about the upcoming PlayStation console. It's not confirmed to be the PS5, but that's kind of what everyone's just calling it, because let's be honest, that's what it's going to end up being called anyway.
I mean, if it's not called the PlayStation 5, I think they better have something awesome instead.
Yeah, look, it just there's no reason to change the name though. Like, everyone just knows it as, it's like PS. There's no reason for them to change it. So I don't see it happening. But they came out with this thing. Mark's only talking about it, gives a bunch of stats about the consoles, not anything too hefty. It's just like, hey, we've got this AMD GPU that we're working on, custom thing, blah 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 blah. Doesn't really give you too much information, but more than anything, it got the internet talking a little bit, of course, about the PS5, the console, what Xbox's next console could be, because of course now having some information about what the PS5 is going to be like, then people can start going, okay, well, if that's kind of what they're at, then Xbox will have to be around the same, if not better, or like same sort of territory. And then they confirmed a couple cool things, like PSVR compatible, backwards compatibility.
That's a big one.
Takes physical media.
Also a big one.
These sorts of things that people are quite impressed with. But yeah, so what do you think of the article, and what do you think of Sony getting the jump on Xbox? Because everyone's expecting Xbox to go first when it came to the next gen.
Yeah, this was kind of out of the blue, wasn't it? I mean, there was no inkling at all that they were going to release anything. It almost seems like Mark Cerny had a bit too much to drink, and he just divulged all the secrets.
Hey press, hey Wired, come to my hotel.
Let me up in the mini fridge. Yeah, but everything sounds good. I mean, I guess they just want to sort of get ahead of any potential leaks. Obviously, a lot of dev systems are out there at the moment, and they want to just get the basics out of the way before anybody else. I don't know how much they care about what Xbox is doing. I mean, to a certain extent, you want to be first, but also you want to be the most powerful. But they've also got the most built-in player base of the two by a large margin. So you would expect that to cross over, especially if it is backwards compatible and your digital purchases cross over as well.
I lordy hope so. If it's backwards compatible.
If that is the case, then they would expect a lot more day one sales, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a huge get.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that it's really them just kind of being afraid of leaks from dev kits and stuff? Because I was thinking that potentially they kind of got wind of something to do with Xbox and we're like, fuck it, we'll go first.
Fuck it, let's call Wired. If it's an emergency, call Wired.
I saw a lot of people being like, this Wired may have had this interview for some time just embargoed until Sony kind of rang up and said, you can publish it. You can publish it.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe that's the case. I don't know whether. Again, they're so far in front that I don't know how concerned they are about Xbox and what they're doing.
I suppose it's one of those things because, I agree. And it's something that people bring up quite a lot, obviously. It's like Sony's so far in front. Why would they care? Sony's so front. Why would they care? But then it's like, but why do they not have to care? Like, why do they not have to be like, we heard a little birdie that said Xbox could be talking about this, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, what's it, man? Let them do their own thing. We'll announce ours at this date, but whatever. But maybe they're just like, oh, yeah, cool. How about we just smash them in the next generation as well? And we're fucking go at every turn possible to try and just one-up them and beat them. To be honest, and obviously you can take this bias if you want, dear listeners, as we do a PlayStation podcast, but I think just from a pundit, I guess, within the industry, the next generation, if Sony comes out just with the mentality of we want to fucking fight, that's more fun. It is more fun.
That's true.
Especially in a world where we're talking about, Nintendo getting along with Xbox and all these possibilities of things, and we're fucking setting up rumors of Xbox Game Pass on the Switch and these sorts of things. It's like, that all sounds great, but at the same time, and I'm not saying fanboy wars because I don't like fanboy wars. I'm just saying good old fashioned tech rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because Sony needs PlayStation to be more successful than Microsoft needs Xbox to be successful. PlayStation is a massive part of Sony's profits at the moment. Mm-hmm. Arguably one of the most profitable things that it does at all. So, whereas Xbox is just another thing Microsoft does.
Yeah. Like we have a games division.
Yeah. For a long time they didn't.
Yeah. That's true, actually. But so the other interesting thing was now I don't think this was, well, I don't know, I'll ask you a question I suppose, but later in the day after this was announced, Xbox put out things saying, hey, our E3 conference is going to be Monday, June 10, 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's when you can watch it. Look forward to sharing our E3 plans. It's going to be the biggest, as we've said previously, it's going to be our biggest E3 yet. Please be excited. Please be excited. Please be excited. Now, a little bit of the theorist in me wants to go, there's no way that was just scheduled and happened to fall later in the day. I'm choosing to take it as Sony's got the news cycle in the morning and they're like, post it, get excited for E3. Tell them to get excited for E3. Where do you fall?
I mean, it could have gone the other way. If your fan theory is that the Wired's had this interview on lock until Sony says to drop it, that they heard that E3 Microsoft was about to make their big E3 plans known, and they're like, yeah, let's just drop this PS5 bombshell.
Potentially.
And
maybe Xbox, maybe they
squash all happiness about that or interest.
Maybe they can't win that Xbox was planning to originally tease a little bit more information, and then Xbox pulled the information.
Maybe.
Oh,
or maybe they're like, we've got something way better than that. We can wait till E3. So it's hard to tell.
It is hard to tell. But how do you feel about Xbox in the position they're in now, I guess? Because everyone was expecting them to do the first reveal, because that's kind of how it usually works with the consoles. Like whoever's in last place is usually the first out the gate for the next race kind of thing. Everyone was expecting Xbox to be the first to talk about next generation, especially because they kind of already did. I mean, if we look at E3 last year, they come out, they're like, yeah, we got console, we got the Xbox X coming, we got Project whatever that's coming after that. They were basically the first people to talk about next gen at all, or tease next gen stuff. So everyone, rightfully so, I think, was expecting them to be the first ones. Do you think they were caught off guard, and do you think that PlayStation being out first is just kind of setting the tone for the next generation, I guess, like setting up already the leaderboard?
I don't think so. I think Xbox are running their own race. They've obviously got their own plans of what they want to do, and I don't think that they shouldn't get caught up in what PlayStation's doing. Otherwise, they're going to get themselves in trouble. Just got to take things one day at a time. All the sports cliches.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't. None of this news mattered because then at the end of the day, Nintendo was like, "Fuck yous all."
Guess what? Cheap Switch coming.
No, not the fucking cheap Switch. At the end of the day, they were like, "Oh, that Smash, fucking, what's his face DLC's out.
Joker DLC.
Joker DLC's live now.
Yay! Joker DLC. Let's do a server update.
It broke the fucking Nintendo store. It's ridiculous. We didn't talk about it because neither of us play Super Smash Brothers, obviously, so it's not.
No, looks cool.
It didn't affect us, but it looks cool. Yeah, but I'll say that
you can create levels now.
Yeah, I saw that. That was kind of cool.
Did you see that someone made a level where it's the DVD video logo, and it just
the one that bounces around?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. That's fucking cool.
Someone made that.
I used to sit in bed and just watch that, like zoned out.
That's what lots of kids did, apparently.
You try and predict where it's going to land, and like when it actually does like the perfect corner, when it does like the perfect corner land, that was the moment. That was the dream. But it was what a weird fucking news day, is all I'll say. Like,
big
starts PS5 basically reveal somewhat. No, I like calling it the PS5. PS5 now, I don't know. PS5 tech specs. I don't know. Tease. Yeah, thank you. Tease. Go tease. PS5 tease. Xbox is like, no, look, get excited about E3. We're going to be there. Sony's not. Fuck them. And then Nintendo's like, guess what? We got anime shit. Fuck all this. What a weird day. And if you want to count Nintendo and Xbox's corner these days, it's like, I don't know, who wins? We all win. That's right. Whoever loses, we win. No, whoever wins, we win. Both.
Gamers are the real winners. Let's be honest.
Gamers are the real winners is the answer to your thing. So yeah, I think I don't really think it affects Xbox too much. I would 100%.
Unless they realize, oh shit, they're way ahead of us. Then it's like we've got to go back to the drawing board. Otherwise, we're going to be smashed worse than we were this generation. But I can't imagine they'd be too far.
You can't go back to the drawing board at this point.
Yeah, like, you just say, hey, we're going to wait another couple of years before we bring out.
Yeah, so I say, if you go back to the drawing board at this point, you're fucking years.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's going to be a thing. I would believe that most people at Xbox, when this happened, would have been like, okay, wasn't expecting that. But now they kind of get to do what I thought Sony was going to get to do, which is look at what Sony's talking about, look at the specs they're kind of providing, even though they don't have too many really. Like you can look at what was released. It's like, oh yeah, the GPU risen, they got this technology, blah 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 blah. It's not hardcore stats to the point they can start like heavily comparing whatever they're working on. But Xbox does now have the kind of luxury, I guess, to be able to sit back and go, okay, so they got this, we got this, they got this. They're saying backwards compatibility. We don't have that. Fuck, maybe we should do what I fully expect them to. But point being, like some of these features that they can start kind of comparing what they know. But this is what I thought Sony was going to get to do. I thought Sony was going to get to look at Xbox, tease it out first, and go, okay, so they're doing that. We don't want to fuck up. We don't want to do the whole switcheroo because that's kind of how it's been working. PlayStation 1 gen, Xbox next, PlayStation next, up, down, up, down, up, down. PlayStation's like, we want to stay on top for 2 years. Let's do it. Let's do it. So they sit back. I don't know. It's interesting how it's all playing out, of course. And
are you surprised it's not out this year?
No, I was on board early 2020. I was never.
Oh yeah, I was the crazy one saying it's out this year.
I was never against it coming out this year, and like if they had announced it around this time period, these first couple months of the year, and been like, hey, it's going to come out November, December, I would have been like, oh yeah, like crazy how this year suddenly just turned into a new console release year. But I would have been like, okay, I could see that kind of somewhat coming. But no, I've been more on board of this year's the information year. And next year's the release. And I would put the release currently at a, March. Yeah, something like that, I guess.
Give people enough time after Christmas to save up.
Yeah. Typically, the Christmas period is release time, but the Switch has kind of proven that you can release a console whenever the hell you want. So March, yeah, I feel like possibly. Plus, Sony's like, we've been testing our games in this month for a while now, and now we're gonna
drop a console and a bunch of release.
We're gonna drop a whole fucking console there instead. Yeah, how's that work out for you? But yeah, listen to Platinum Explosion, the one that's coming, episode 107, I think is what it is. Dive more into the stats on that episode and go a bit deeper into it, what we all think it means for sure. Thank you for joining us on the couch this week. Make sure you check out explosionnetwork.com for all our other shows, reviews, news, articles, and much more, including that Katana ZERO review. Rate Arcade Couch on Apple Podcasts to help out the show, or simply share it on social media with your friends. You can follow Explosion Network on Twitter at ExplosionPod, and you can join our Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord, to talk to us there. But all the shiny things, including brand new PlayStations and Xboxes and whatever. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL. You can follow Ash on Twitter at Ashley Hobby, SHLEYHOBLEY. Until next week, same time, same couch. Couch? Jesus Christ. Same time, same couch.
Yeah, it's called a couch.
Bye-bye. Every trophy counts. Don't be told otherwise. Join myself and Ash each Tuesday when a shiny new episode of Platinum Explosion dings into podcast feeds. The #1 PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias breaks down all the latest in PlayStation related news, releases, trophy lists, and much, much more. Just search your podcast app for Platinum Explosion and subscribe for free now.